Joining me is Jeff Barrette, who's a county commissioner in Sullivan County. So Jeff, we were talking last about sort of economies of scale.
Yes.
And so there was one example of where the county actually can save towns money by taking over certain tasks. Are there real places where it makes sense to have sort of the county do things from an economy of scale that we're not tapping into and that people should at least think about?
I certainly think there is. Personally, I think that regional economic development has a lot more tooth than each individual town doing their own economic development. Primarily because I think that if you've got one central clearinghouse who doesn't necessarily have skin in the game, they're going to find the best fit within the borders of Sullivan County for any particular town, as opposed to when somebody today shows some interest in coming, it's the fight between Charlestown, Newport, and Claremont's economic development groups that are trying to woo a company in, and I'm just not sure that we win doing it that way. And I think that there's extra expense that's added there.
Well, I would think there's sort of, unless it's just a very small operation, there's going to be sort of a spread out from one town to the next town, no matter where it's located. And
right.
That has some pros and cons, I should imagine.
Well, I think what each individual town would look at is broadening their tax base. Mm-hmm. If you've got a vibrant company that's either building new buildings or enhancing existing buildings, you're going to be broadening your tax base. So although any sizable employer is going to employ from the whole region, it's where they're located is still a factor. I think that you could take that to, a couple of years ago we had a pretty serious discussion about doing central dispatch. Mm-hmm. We felt like we could do central dispatch better than what's happening now on a regional basis. Better coverage. If there was 2 events or 3 events happening at one time, we'd have coverage throughout the night for those kind of things.
And so we shifted from economic development to
but
police,
we're talking about talking about economies of scale.
Just want to make sure I'm with you on this.
I wanted to make sure I made the right.
So what happened with that? I remember hearing about it, and I remember there was a lot of pushback.
Oh, there was a lot of pushback. We learned something. Anytime you do something, and we weren't successful, obviously, but we certainly learned something that we had really had great buy-in from the police community, and we didn't have buy-in from the fire community. Because in the fire community, there's a lot of volunteers.
Right. Most of the towns that I'm familiar with, if there's even a paid employee,
exactly,
there's 1 or 2.
Right. So what we found was in the few professional departments that we have throughout the region, there was quite a bit of buy-in, and those are the people that we had talked to because they're regularly assembled. They're on site in Claremont and Newport and Sunapee. But we didn't necessarily have the buy-in from all the volunteer departments. Not to say that the volunteer departments aren't professional, because they certainly are. They're well trained.
Yep.
Yes, and not to take anything.
But it's not their day job.
It's not their day job, and we hadn't taken into account that once you get out to the outlying areas, your Goshens, your Washingtons, that we're in a very hilly area. And there was real concerns among that group as far as what the communication overlap was going to be. A lot of tradespeople are volunteer firefighters, so they're working all over the place, and they need to know that they're going to be able to have communication. I think that was the real pushback.
But again, that's sort of you kind of would want that anyway, but that's a county sort of network that would have to be built. Correct.
We had Claremont at the time had agreed to donate the old armory, which needed renovation. But what we felt like if we got the entire county together, that everybody could essentially freeze their costs at today's rates and end up with a far superior product.